am having, Mac.
Is Sonic the Hedgehog a relatable character? Growing up, I always thought that Sonic the Hedgehog was like the coolest character ever, and I still do now. But I think what made me so fascinated with him in the first place was not just his design, but just like his personality and the things he was capable of doing. Running at the speed of sound, saving other people, and just being a genuinely great guy. Sonic was always just so cool. With that being said, I think it's important to mention here that Sonic wasn't a character that I personally always related to. He was a character who I more so aspired to be like. The character that I often related to in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe was Tails the Fox. And I already made a video talking about this a little while ago, but there were so many aspects of Tails that I found really, I don't know, true to myself. And I feel like the interesting thing about that is Tails is a character who really looks up to Sonic and therefore wants to be more like him, at least in some way, shape, or form. And I think it's interesting because if I relate to Tails, that kind of means that I also aspire to be like Sonic, which I previously just made clear in this video. So if you were to ask someone like me, is Sonic the Hedgehog a relatable character to you? I would have to say, probably not. I don't think there are that many aspects of Sonic which I can honestly say, wow, he is literally me. But the question I asked in this video really isn't a personal question, it's more so of a general question really, because I'm asking if they actually intended to make Sonic a relatable character in the first place, not specifically relatable to a specific individual, but more so relatable to a mass general audience. I talked about this in previous videos before, but I think that Movie Sonic and Game Sonic both are two great versions of this character, but I think they're probably the most different out of any iteration of Sonic I've ever seen. And the reason I say that is because Movie Sonic is a character who has very obvious character flaws, and without a doubt, you can see the character development take place within this character in a very consistent basis. There hasn't been a movie so far that hasn't shown Sonic learning a lesson here or there, or having a mentor or role model, whereas in the games, he doesn't really have anything like that. He kind of just does things his own way and is very, very confident in himself. Movie Sonic is a character who lacks confidence in his abilities and therefore continues to run for years and years from those who are after his power. And he just kind of gains that confidence by the end of the first movie, where he realizes that he can harness his own power and use it to fight against those who will try to take it from him. In both Sonic Movie 1 and 2, Sonic learns many valuable lessons like the power of friendship and not being afraid to face your problems head on. And Sonic even uses one of those lessons he learns to basically help out a new character that was introduced in the sequel with Knuckles. By the end of the movie, Sonic and Knuckles are pals because Sonic was able to teach Knuckles the value of friendship, and that he never had to be alone anymore. To me, this version of Sonic is really relatable, not because I've gone through the same things, but it's because I can understand that. I can understand a character who goes through circumstances where, there's hardship, there's a bunch of different problems there, and they have kind of their own thoughts going up against themselves. Whereas when it comes to Game Sonic, I feel as though he's a very confident character, whereas though he's not really learning anything on his own, but he's more so teaching other people and inspiring them. In my opinion, one of Movie Sonic's best moments was when he was talking to Knuckles after the two of them just kind of saved each other's lives at the end of the movie of the sequel, where the two of them kind of get to understand each other better, and Sonic is able to basically teach Knuckles a valuable lesson there, which I already talked about a little bit earlier, but the reason why this is so essential is because this is the kind of thing that Game Sonic does in like every single game ever. However, I would argue what makes Game Sonic and Movie Sonic so different in this interaction is we don't really see Game Sonic learn these lessons from anywhere or from anyone. He just kind of already inherently knows them and teaches them to other people. Whereas we already know where Movie Sonic learned all his lessons from because he had Tom there teaching him or other characters teaching him. I think one of my favorite examples of Game Sonic showing just how true and raw he can be is Sonic Frontiers, and that's because I feel like there's like a metaphorical kind of sense in this game itself where Sonic is basically like freeing Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, and essentially harming himself in doing so. It's basically like Sonic is carrying on the baggage of all the other characters and just trying to fight his way through it. And even though there is a lesson in that I think we could dissect a bit further, it just illustrates that Sonic is the type of character to help others before helping himself. Another great example is when Chip figures out his true identity and pretty much tells Sonic that he can go off on his own now and that he doesn't really need him anymore. But Sonic insists on being there because that's what friends do. And I'm not saying that humanity is discredited because we're not as generous or as kind as Sonic the Hedgehog is, because that's definitely not what I'm trying to say here. I think we definitely have our moments of being very nice people and everything like that, but Sonic was always that way. In terms of Game Sonic, these are lessons that were basically like ingrained in this character from the very beginning. He never had to learn them anywhere or go through some sort of character development. He was just always that way. Sonic is a character who basically seems to always know the right thing to say or do, and even if he doesn't, he just feels so confident in himself that he'll make you believe that he does. So I think with all of that in mind, I would argue that Sonic is not supposed to be a relatable character. I think there are aspects of Sonic that you could definitely gravitate to and possibly even relate to, but as a whole, I would argue that Sonic is a character that you're supposed to more so aspire to be more like. And that isn't to say Sonic is perfect and that his ideals are the ones that you should have, but it is to say that his confidence and the way he treats other people is something that you would want to model after. Sonic is so good at that why wouldn't you want to follow after his footsteps? I think so many people in the real world are able to gravitate to this character in the same way that the characters within the series themselves gravitate towards Sonic, because he's able to teach them things about life and just how to, exist. Game Sonic on his own without having to do anything to himself, just by literally being himself, causes everyone within the vicinity to grow and develop and just change overall. It's effortless, it doesn't come off cheesy, and it's very good. Which is why I have no problem with Sonic not being a relatable character. I think in this instance, it's actually really cool that he isn't. I don't think you have to relate to every single character in media, otherwise we'd get pretty bored of the same staple. Sonic is kind of different because he's not someone you relate to, he's someone you aspire to be more like. At least that's what I think. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are, and also if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on it, and also turn on the post notifications bell, that way you never miss a video from me. You do not want to miss what I have to say. That said, thank you all again so much for watching. This is Sonic signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?
Thank you.